Hello, and today we're gonna take a look at some massive decompression, and of course not talk about aviation, because it never happens. It happened in Ground RB. Now, I'm gonna be real, the lack of compression here is still pretty apparent, because they just moved everything up. So let's just take a quick scroll through it, so you can like kind of see it. The link is of course gonna be in the description, so if you want to read it or send it to people, and you don't want to send a probably 30-minute video, knowing me by now, you can just link them the forum post. Some reload times have been adjusted. A lot of things have been lowered to 5 seconds. Overall, I can't really comment on this because I don't really play it. There are some questionable things. But overall, this doesn't really look like decompression. It just looks like they moved everything up and thus changing basically nothing. But you know, more BRs is always good. It does open up one whole BR where everything is not compiled. But in general, you get what I'm saying. I want to take a look at mainly aviation today, because there is some questionable ones, and there's a few that I am definitely missing. So first we have the J11 and the SU-27. Now, I'm not really opposed to them going down, but I always say, when in doubt, move shit up. Don't move stuff down. Moving stuff down creates more compression, and that's what we don't want to have. So I think it's better to keep these things at 13.3. I'm not gonna say that they can't go any lower, and in the current state of the game, it's probably fine to move them down, but I just think for the overall health and the overall picture of the game, moving them up or keeping them at 13.3 would be the more normal thing to do. But of course we don't have the luxury of multiple BRs or enough BRs, so I think 13.0 is understandable. Do I really stand behind it? Not necessarily. With the F-16A it's slightly different because it doesn't have any radar missiles. Of course it only has the AIM-9Ms, and I understand why that thing is 13.0, but then again at the same time, same boat. Do you really want 6 AIM-9Ms on one of the best airframes in the game? At 13.0 against 12.0, you know, 12.0 is not going to be the strongest BR to begin with. And, I mean, these kind of planes are just going to really throw a wrench in the spanners in that kind of sense. Now, then we have all of these, which are going to go down with the AIM-9M Slinger, the F-16. Makes sense, but then I don't understand why the Nets isn't going down. Or is it? Oh, it is. I'm just fucking blind. I was looking at the Mirage 4000. So, overall, I understand it. Do I really agree? In a fundamental aspect, not really, but again, I understand it. And then we have the F-14s, and these definitely needed to go up, and I understand why the F-14B is going to 13.0, because it's a higher BR, but then why is the IRAF going to 12.7? I think that I don't know what nation it was again, is it Iranian? Why is that not going to 13.0 as well then? The Fakkur 90s are better than the Phoenixes right now, by a long shot. And sure, you can only carry 4. But trust me, these missiles are absolutely nasty. And I don't understand why this thing is the same BR as the F-14A early. These things should be the same BR as the F-14B. Open up the compression. But again, Gaijin is just infatuated with putting planes that are different at the same BR. Think of the J7E at 11.0. And then we have planes like the F-14s that are very similar in terms of performance. They have some slight tweaks in their kit, and they have to be different. I don't get it. Like, if you want to spread everything out according to performance, spread everything out or keep everything together. You cannot do both at the same time, and that's why the battle rating is such a mess right now. We have stuff like the FHU that is, by the way, not going to move. It's 10.0 right now. It's one of the best 10.0s in the game, and it's better than a lot of 10.3s. It's better than some 10.7s. Hell, it's better than some 11.0s. We have the Saab J35 XS at 11.0. We have the FHU at 10.0. And then for some reason, the F-14B has to be a different BR to the F-14A. Make it make sense, people, because I personally cannot. A lot of the legacy top tier jets are going down, so think the F4EJ, F4EJ ADTW, these are the same plane, of course. All the MiG-21 Bisses, so the South for Italy, Germany, and Sweden as well. The Zur M is, of course, almost the same plane as well. All these planes going down, no massive issue with it, but why does it need to go down? Just add more battle ratings and spread everything out at the top end. Right now, you're not really decompressing, you're just moving it to a different BR. Then we have the F5A and the F5C going down to 10.7. A little bit questionable, but at the same time I understand it, because the planes are borderline unflyable right now. But it's not because the planes are too bad. It's because the planes they are fighting are too good. So we want to decompress up, not down. Because now we are going to create another situation where 9.7s are going to run into the F5 again. Which is almost the exact same issue we had before they got moved up. Again, make it make sense. J7D not going to move. Why? I don't know. AMX, the Brazilian one, which is in my opinion worse than the regular Tech Tree one. Why? Because Vulcan is better, AIM-9Ls are better in like 95% of the situations that you find yourself in, and they are almost a full BR apart. Also AMX to begin with is already quite over-tiered. I mean, look at it. We have the AMX here. It's 10.7, which is a higher BR than the FHU for the so many times I've said it. And this thing is like just, it's ridiculous, really. But you know, I'm not a dev, so I can't really say anything about it. Mirage 5B and the F4C are both absolutely atrocious planes. And I'm not entirely sure why these are still a higher BR than the FHU. Why is the FHU not going up in BR? I swear, I see people go negative in every plane and they still go 3-1 in the FHU. But for some reason, Gaijin just thinks this is completely okay. Now, if you look at the Mirage 5BA, now I have flown it a little bit on like a test flight, but it just doesn't have anything. It has 2 missiles, there are AIM-9Js or AIM-9Bs, which are absolutely terrible. It doesn't have anything going for it. Why is this thing at 10.3? If the FHU can be 10.0, then this thing can be. I don't agree, because moving shit down doesn't help. I'd rather have the FHU at 10.3, probably even 10.7. But make it make sense, people. So these planes make no sense. But then we have some going up. We have the A5C going up, and I really don't think this is necessary. But moving stuff up most of the time is a better thing than moving them down, as I've been saying. But with premiums, you know, most of the time they are played by pretty bad players. And this is not a lash out to anyone. But you know, so why is this going up? Because like when you look at the average player, they go and bomb, they die, they shoot their magics and they die. They don't really get much done. So these going up doesn't make a lot of sense in my mind. I think that the A5C at 10.3 was actually pretty balanced. Only had 2 missiles, it wasn't that fast. Yeah, that flares, but it didn't have that many. I think it was very well balanced at 10.3. Moving stuff up, of course, I'm not really opposed to it, but I don't really see the reasoning behind this one. Probably going to be flyable still. I don't think it changes all that much, especially with these going down as well. But you're going to run into a lot more radar missiles from now on. Then we have the Q5L, Q5A, SU7, Q5, Hunter F6 and the Sea Vixen going up. And this is what I want to see. 8.3 is getting absolutely hammered by these supersonics. I'm still not sure why the F104 isn't going up. Yes, the flight model just got absolutely hammered, but you know, it still goes 1400 kilometers an hour, and some planes at 8.3 barely break 1000. Think of stuff like the Yak 30. Think of stuff like the Yak 23. It runs into the F104. The speed discrepancy is so ridiculous that it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But seeing all these supersonics go up, especially the Q5s and the SU7s, absolutely massive. Sea Vixen going up, big thumbs up as well. It's just incredibly annoying to deal with because it's a bit of a rat plane. It's virtually untouchable, and this thing going up, very much required. Hunter F6, same boat. It's not the best airframe. It doesn't have the best of anything, but it's like super well rounded, and it had the same BR as the Hunter F1. And again, to go back, we have planes with very different performance at different BRs, and then we have the F3H and the F104 at 9.3. But the F3H is actually going down, and the F3H going down, I don't think is going to be a massive issue. It's one of those planes that's very niche. It can get something done, but the fact that we can now shoot Sparrows at TU4s is of course going to warm my heart a little bit. Now we have a few more questionable ones, and it's only 2. We have the ME262 A1U4, which, if you aren't aware, is the one with the 50mm. And yes, it's not that fantastic in air RB, but this cannon hits pretty hard. It's pretty good. Like, if you have flown the Jabo, you know that an airspan does a lot to a 262. If you have flown the ME262A2, you know that 6.7 is a very strong BR for 262. 6.3? I think it's too low. I honestly think that the performance is too low or too good to be at 6.3. It's way too fast. It gets an air spawn. It will climb into the enemy team. It's now the same BR as some of the super props. And it's going to be virtually untouchable. Expect a video on this thing 100% if this change goes through. And then we have the F8F1. 4.7 is... just no. What are we doing, Gaijin? We are essentially creating a Wyvern 2.0 here. This thing is ridiculously fast, has a very good climb rate, and recently they changed the thermodynamics on the plane. So now it doesn't actually overheat as badly, and it's very, very flyable. At 5.0 this thing is already a bit of a menace. It doesn't look very good. And yeah, the firepower is a little bit questionable, but if you really want to, you can always equip the gun ports. Now the gun ports of course do hamper the performance a little bit, but at 4.7... it doesn't hamper the performance anywhere near enough to justify the battle rating. So now I would personally just run the gun ports. 4.7, super solid. Never run into 6.0 again. Never have to run into those stuff like the TAR 152H's. You know, planes that really just give you a bit of a run for your money. You just won't see them anymore. 3.7 against this thing, absolutely criminal. But yeah, that's... the gist of it, really. There's some helicopters changing here as well, and I'll take a look at the fleet for the people that care. Not much changing here. I don't play this, so I just don't know anything about it. But if you are a fleet player and you actually watch my channel, which I highly doubt, here's the changes for you. So yeah, a bit of a mess. I would like to see some planes going up, and some planes like just don't need to go down, like the J11s, the F16s. Yeah, they kind of struggle at like top tier. Just move top tier up. Why do they need to go down? Just you create more compression and you just make everything worse. And that's the slop for today. Expect the SM79 video on probably this Friday. But for today, I'm gonna be done with it. Thank you all for watching, and you'll see me in the next one.